we're going to continue in John's Gospel. I think we had a break last week and did something else, and this is a day late because various other things have crowded in. Anyway, and this should be a fairly short one. Could be famous last words, but we'll see. We're going to read from John's Gospel, chapter 4, Samaritan Woman. We're going to read verses 27 to 30. And just remind you what's happened before that. She's met with Jesus, and Jesus told her who he is. He's told her who she is. That's actually quite an interesting point. To know God, we need two things. We need to know ourselves, and we need to know God. We need to know the nature of ourselves, our sinful nature. And we need to know God's loving and gracious nature, amongst other things about God. So, let's read 4:27 to 30. Reading as usual from the ESV. Just then his disciples came back. They marvelled that he was talking with a woman, but no one said, "What do you seek?" or "Why are you talking with her?" So the woman left her water jar and went away into the town and said to the people, "Come, see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ?" They went out of the town and were coming to him. So there's a number of points there. First of all, the disciples get back. And they're shocked. Jesus is speaking to a woman. And a Samaritan woman at that. It's interesting, it says, no one would ask Jesus, "Why are you talking with her?" You can understand why they're asking that. Was there something odd going on? But they're afraid to ask Jesus. They don't want to betray their lack of understanding and other things about themselves. So also it says, no one said, "What do you seek?" It seems rather strange that it says that. Anyway. Or maybe they're asking the woman what she was seeking. Anyway, let's just leave that aside. And let's focus on their surprise at what Jesus is doing. God's reach extends further than ours. And his grace extends further than ours. Which is probably just as well. And it's important for at least two reasons. One, for ourselves. You can sometimes think, I'm beyond the reach of God because something I've done is so terrible, or because I'm so weak or hopeless. No, you're not. But also, and which is much more in context of what's going on here, his reach to his grace and reach towards other people is far greater than anything we imagine. So God will do things and reach people which we don't expect him to. And that's one of the reasons why we should be so wary of writing people off. Now, there's a caveat to add to that. In trying to achieve that, sometimes we then just start saying, well, we will overlook all sins and no sin matters. That's not a biblical approach either. And Jesus didn't do that. He was quite straight with the woman about her lifestyle, if you can put it that way. But God's grace extends way beyond anything we imagine. And instead of objecting when we see God's grace go beyond what we would like, we need to let God's grace carry us along to where God is. Then in 28 it says, so the woman left her water jar and went away into the town and said to the people. Now, we mentioned that she went to the well at midday, probably wanting to avoid the crowds because of her reputation, which seems to have been well deserved. She'd want to keep herself to herself. But now she wants to tell the people. Now why? Because she's met Jesus. And when we meet Jesus, it changes us. And it can overcome and heal all sorts of hang-ups that we might have. And it's also why important. So somebody who's not a Christian at all, their life can be radically changed by meeting Jesus. And for those of us who've been Christians for many years, it's why we need to maintain our contact with Jesus. We need to study his word regularly. We need to worship regularly. We need to pray regularly. We need to focus on him regularly, because churches like putting on training programs, and training programs can be good. But the thing that really is really going to change us is the extent to which we know Jesus. That's the number one thing. Anyway, the woman's gone back in town, and then she says, "Come, see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ?" So she urged the people to come and see Jesus, to come and meet him, to meet this guy this man who'd just changed her whole world. But we also see, she says, "Can this be the Christ?" Her faith was not perfect. Far from it. But she'd only met Jesus. I don't know how long the whole encounter had taken. But her faith was far from perfect. But she acted on the faith that she did have. And that applies to all of us. All of us need more faith. All of us need more understanding. And we need to recognise that. But we should also act and live out of the faith that we already have. The best way to get more faith and more understanding of God is to act on the faith and understanding that we already have. If we just spend all our time worrying about the fact that we're not good enough, we haven't got enough faith, we don't understand enough, etc., we'll get nowhere. But if we work and act out of the faith and understanding that we already have, then that faith and understanding grows. And the people listened to the woman, and they went out to meet Jesus. Amen.